part of this process. So we started this process in October, in 2018, and we went around Scotland, England, Ireland, Northern Ireland, and Wales to meet up with people and have conversations with them about how they felt about the sustainable development goals, did they feel relevant to them, what work was being done in their country, nation, never quite sure the right terminology for that, on their nation, around the sustainable development goals, what they were aware of and how connected they were with it and which ones were of particular interest to them. And the idea of that was really to try and find out, if you see the film, you know about the sustainable goals, development goals, they're everything. They're huge, they're complex, so in order to take our conversations further, we needed to try and get a bit more of an idea from people about, focus and who was most interested. And I think you'll notice in this room that there are certain, because of the makeup of this room, the people that we spoke to, some of the sustainable development goals are a lot less discussed than others. So, for example, we didn't have any conversations with any business control. And there might be other groups that we have. So we didn't try to do everybody, but we tried to get a good representation of people from grassroots communities to policymakers. We didn't get involved or have any conversations with politicians because we're thinking that it might be at the stage of this which might involve that. But part of the question that we were asking was how are people feeling that this is connecting in with government. Amanda to say a little bit about where we started, who we spoke to, and the conversations with the project board.
To say that all our technical side and everything is proven. So it's have to sort things through which, I don't think anybody's ever upset by not having our business missions. So, but when we started this project, we were asked by the Open Pioneers project, as they were nearing its end, to focus on how the people, or how it capacity people more to engage more with policy group, policy perspective on open government and sustainable development goals. So from our approach was to speak first to the open government pioneer partners, people already involved, and to look at an evaluation that had been done of the project up to that point. The project was funded by the Big Lottery, and so the funding for our work is from the Big Lottery, but it is a very tiny development piece of work with quite tiny bit of funding attached to it, which may be the seed for something more in the future. So as we looked at the evaluation and the focus on equalities, I think what was quite clear is that the intention of the Open Government Pioneers project was set very strongly on focusing on equalities issues. So the commitment was there and the intention was there, and that in the different countries, various initiatives have been taken to work specifically with people in equalities groups and to understand some of the barriers that people may have. So, for example, in Wales, there was a particularly strong equalities focus, where they did a piece of work that focused specifically on barriers to engaging for people across the equalities group. And they've also just done a project that's run concurrently with ours called Hidden Voices. And we will be linking to the report on the project wiki page. So there's been a very strong focus in Wales, and their partners, others, Hungary, have helped guide that focus. In England, Involve has been the leading partner there, and they've been working with a number of equality focused groups to develop case studies to present through the open government process. In Northern Ireland, we had some very deep discussions in Northern Ireland, and the projects, the Pioneers projects, focused more on young people and developing connections with young people and sustainable development goals. And they did some quite innovative work around young people, but not really engaging with the wide spectrum of equality, although they work with young people with different needs from diverse backgrounds. I've been told to slow down. And then there was the Equalities Impact Assessment started, but the evaluation showed that while there was a strong commitment to assessing the impacts and showing the positive impacts, really there needs to be more to demonstrate the link with the priorities and objectives of local government and sustainable development goals and the needs of people in the society. Would you want to add anything to that?
Can you hear me? So, Sam, just when you were giving your summary at the beginning there about the process involved, and you mentioned which people I wonder if you just could share with the group and who did it. I know maybe well in this room, but just to give an indication.
Okay, so yeah, that's a question for Southampton. We have the wiki link, which we will give people access to, or if you have anyone in there, outline all of the groups that we try to speak to.
Yeah, just to say that we follow the open government process on how we present projects, and that included sharing the wiki page, which is has limited accessibility, limited accessibility, but sharing the list of people that we're contacting and asking all the people we contacted to add to that list or to remove themselves from that list if we want to, the organisation we want to be involved. So that list, in a way, was co-produced. And from that list of initial contacts, which included equality stakeholders across the UK, from our network and wider research, we then wrote out, they invited people to speak to us in one-to-one meetings and to attend today's session. So I think we had around 46 individual conversations, one-to-one meetings, but we recognise that that's a small fraction of the wider stakeholders, and they more to be done. It was very intensive engagement, and a lot of the qualitative information came from there, but it wasn't quantitatively validated piece of research. I think there's definite merits in something like that.
I guess what we're looking at, this is a process of dialogue. So we approach this whole thing as a process of mediation process in many ways. And from the snowball, people and connection and relationships as this process goes along. So we with this piece of work, we got the first layer, and we recognise that there's a few more layers for this young to connect to people. We didn't go to rural areas in any of the places, and I think that was something that was highlighted that widely. We had more time and travel and more people did speak to people from rural areas via Skype, but we can get more of that. But mainly we were talking to policymakers and the organisations, these people that we always have relationships.
I don't know if you want to add to that, Amanda, or you can do. And I would be interested then for the just to hear some of the key things we've discovered. And so keeping that in mind, just to check.
Okay, so I just want to talk a little bit about the differences that we found between the different nations, because I think that was, we initially were asked to look at the UK and very quickly realised before the diversity between the different nations and the way that they were approaching the sustainable development goals, not just the sustainable development goals, but the way that they engaged with people was so different. So we found in Scotland that there was the improvement framework, national performance framework, sorry, and people that had developed that felt like there was a lot of engagement around that. Then I guess we heard also that people who wanted to engage in different groups were finding it difficult to access, and partly that was about capacity. So organisations that are community grassroots organisations having their funding, but while being asked to engage in community development activity, and finding the resources to do it, and that was something that they could actually engage with. But quite good, generally quite good connections, quite a lot of thinking going on at the government level about what the sustainable development goals need for people in Scotland and translating them in. In Wales, we found something reasonably similar, similar kind of responses, where they've got their well-being goals that they've taken sustainable development goals and applied them to the Welsh context. In Northern Ireland, it was quite different. I guess one of the things that we learned very fast was equalities means a very different thing in Northern Ireland. When we're talking about equalities in Northern Ireland, we're talking about positive impact, as opposed to the much broader agenda of human rights. So we had to very change our language and the way that we were speaking to people. There was the lack of government there and the lack of leadership that people were feeling. And what we experienced was that there's a very high level of, the best way I can describe it is emotional intelligence among society in Northern Ireland, because people had experienced trouble, and when they were looking at these issues, they were looking at them from a much wider angle than some of the other nations. And the Northern Ireland perspective was very interested in peace and the impact of what the sustainable development goals can do in terms of peace building, whereas it wasn't mentioned before in the other information at all, which I think that we're going through potential provisions that might be arising in the result of Brexit. In England, what we were hearing was, in England, we were a little bit over as we start ourselves because it's such a diverse place. The population is so big, every city or organisation is very different, and so the approach to have an all England approach was very difficult. But what we were hearing was that Westminster was very busy with Brexit and very inaccessible to people to go and have those conversations. And the some feeling that the sustainable development weren't really being used up at this moment in time. I think that was a similar experience that we were having in Northern Ireland, that civic society wanted to, they saw the value, but they didn't really have a leadership to discuss it. So kind of similar phenomenon going on in Northern Ireland and England, but for very different reasons.
Yeah, I mean, just in terms of the equality issue that was surfaced, again, there's an issue around funding pressure that can sometimes create a competitive environment between different equality interest groups, and that's a frustration because so much more can be achieved in a collaborative environment. In terms of barriers to engage, there are varying factors, practical factors that can affect barriers to engage, but often it's about confidence to engage. Brexit has heightened tensions across race divide. It surfaced a lot of tension where people may have had strong views in the past, but not necessarily had a platform to speak about them. Strong feelings about immigration have been points which have had an impact in terms of good relationships and very special relationships between different groups of people. The impact of austerity came up again and again and again. There's been research from the Equality and Human Rights Commission that shows the disproportionate impacts of austerity on women, on ethnic minority people, and on disabled people. We also were aware of the UN Rapporteur's report on poverty made last year, and he also underlined the disproportionate impact on certain groups of people of poverty. There's also issues around conflict between different equalities perspectives. So we spoke to the LGBT Equality Network, and they're talking about sometimes challenges that surface around equal marriage and different faith groups' perspectives, but how they were very constructively working to raise awareness and improve understanding. There were also some issues around conflicts in terms of perspectives on equality for trans people and certain feminist groups, and how they view the equality of trans women. And again, the Trans Alliance is working very constructively to address some of those challenges. Do you want to?
Well, I'm just conscious that there'll be a lot of information also to share from the slides that we give you as well. I wonder whether at this point it might be useful just to get questions from the audience. Given what you've read, there's a lot of information that's just been presented to you verbally just now. But does anybody at this point have one or two questions? I'm looking myself from my kid, but to help understand what you've heard rather than a comment in response, but just any clarity you need about what you've heard already. I think it's something before we go.
Yeah, I just wanted to reframe the big and key themes that kept going were mental health, poverty, and prejudice and bigotry, and strong feeling that Brexit and austerity were really pushing these issues through.
Thank you, Sam. So the floor is open for a few minutes. If anybody who has any questions, I'd like you to check what they've heard and to get that clarity.
I thank you for that. Just have a question, because I'm using working on cross nations and major different equalities organizations. Do you think, can you see a sense of the variety of organizations need to work together to address needs collaboration, or then each of them on their own trying to go on the verge of their issue? Again, we know the feelings of that having sex, one by business, another by people, and actually this will go or actually okay, can we work on the seven goals, not in isolation, but together, and trying to address the issues, create a sense of collaboration.
I think we got quite a strong sense that people wanted to collaborate, and we heard, I guess, in the national level, we heard that some nations were very good at things and like good at other things, and there was a willingness to learn what from the different nations about what's being tried and tested, looking at those different aspects. And then I think in terms of between the different sectors, we mostly got positive feedback around collaborating, and I think very much, I think particularly from frontline groups and organisations that are working, feeling that if they're working together, then they have a more powerful voice, and that the efforts that they're making would be more productive.
Yeah, and that's the excitement is that the goals give us that platform to collaborate where you can identify shared interests independent of identity, and so that is the potential. And there were examples where collaboration has happened, particularly in terms of disability, and the United Nations Convention on Disability. We heard some good practice examples.
Anybody else?
Hi there. I'm really quite excited to see that this is being done with a mediation in conflict resolution approach. And I'm just interested in how much work do you think is to be done there before we actually start speaking about sustainable development goals? You know, there seems to be a lot of kind of dialogue, work, relationship, work that needs done before we get to the problem. So it's interesting to do a bit more about that.
I don't think the conflicts of the work are very out there, but I think the difficult conversations that need to be had at different points, and I think the civic mediation approach is around building up relationships, and I think what we came across was lack of relationship and building connection. I think that was particularly, and that really was across the nation. I mean, in Northern Ireland, it was very much around bringing the civic society together and then working with them to build up relationships with policymakers and potential leadership working through that. And I think that's quite sensitive and complicated conversation. And the impact of that also impacts particularly in Scotland in terms of then we have, I think, this building relationships across in Scotland and Wales around the rural experiences of life and the urban experiences of life. I think there's a lot of understanding that needs to be developed around that. And then this thing around, I think, changing the dynamic of the conversation between policymakers and civic society groups. At the moment, it would seem like overall dynamic from people and how to shift that dynamic. And again, the relationships between those different groups. And I think that would be fairly similar in Wales. In England, I don't think I'm in a position to say very much because we didn't really talk to enough people. But I guess the next stage of that would be to have more conversations and explore it. But I definitely think there's, you know, we heard of different tensions between some different groups as well. So in some of those, you know, we might actually come to a point where we would need direct mediation. But I think a more general, good relations, positive relationship building approach would be a good thing. And I think a lot of the stakeholder engagement type work does that, but I think this might do something slightly differently.
One question, we have one more question.
I was just wondering if we're going to ask next. Yes, I was just going to say that more than that actually is that we will put everything up on the wiki and send a link up. So as the wiki is being developed, so the Wikipedia page online, as it's been developing, we put there what we'd set out to do initially, and we've updated that with actually what's happened. And what we'll do is include the presentation from the day and also the assessment questions that we asked, and you can see who we spoke to, and we'll put the findings up as well. So what we've got through the electronic landscape is a transcript, so we can put that up as well.
Okay, right. So just one last thing, we're about to have a break. I'm hoping that you were all given one of these little packs of sustainable development goals cards. So a little something to do during the break is familiarize yourself with those. And what we're going to be doing after the break is we're going to look at those and we're going to be asking you which ones of these goals you feel you have that have most resonance with you, and to put them in order of the one that has most resonance to the ones that have least resonance for you personally. So if you do that while you have your break, and I just need to check times. Get my watch. So if you come back at 11:45, is it?
Yeah.
Whichever are we on. Yeah.
So enjoy your break and we'll see you back here. Thank you.